let's get started. Anywho, so Holly Schmidt here. Welcome my golden cabbages and others. Today I will be sharing 10 tips I really wish I knew before I started my book. It's just basic advice, things that would have made my life a lot easier while writing. Here we go. Tip number 1. Character Bible will save you time. We all know how exciting it is to start a new book. Some of us plan everything to the detail, world building, characters, every single thing.
Boy, it sure is hard inventing my own language and figuring out what happens every second of the day in my story.
But some of us just kind of want to write.
Let's just see what happens.
Well, please, if there is one thing I can tell you, it is to keep a character Bible. Or a book Bible, essentially. Just keep track of all your characters, because at one point while writing my book I was so confused. I did not know who's who, what's their father's name again, what's their brother's name again, I kind of forgot that. What's their eye color? Just make sure you kind of have like a dictionary with just, it doesn't have to be too intricate, just basic looks, their family members, if they're ever mentioned, how they speak. Do they say hello? Or do they say hi? Do they say mother? Or do they say mom? Like, keep track of those things. Are they someone who describes color, or are they someone who describes sound? Basic things to kind of define your character a little more and not get confused. It helps the readers as well. Yep, basically keep character Bible. I have a big character Bible. It's not just for characters, it's just general rules and terms in my series or whatever. Yeah, important. Tip number 2. Get a calendar or get a headache. Let me just tell you, since I discovered the man-made invention of the calendar, my life has just been so much easier.
Oh, this is good.
When I first started my series, I did not I had a general idea of what's happening, but I still kind of went with the flow. But my biggest mistake was I did not have a calendar to tell me when everything happens. The result? The whole book basically takes place within 2 weeks, which is not realistic at all. I mean, they're supposed to build character relationships. It can't happen in 2 weeks.
You took everything from me. You don't even know who you are.
If you want your book to take place over a year, over 2 years, get yourself a calendar and just say when stuff should happen on the calendar. Because trust me, if you're not sure when everything is happening, how the hell should your reader be sure when anything is happening?
And that's a fact.
Tip number 3. That was a failure. Live the sticky note life. If you could see my room, the amount of sticky notes I have is insane. When you're writing a book, you know that feeling when you have a random idea or something just comes to you and you're just telling yourself,
I'll remember it.
I'll write it down.
no. I am telling you, that's the biggest lie you could tell yourself. Just keep sticky notes with you. And if you don't want to buy sticky notes, just, okay, well, my phone's so cracked, that's kind of embarrassing. Just make notes on your phone if you have to, but keep track of your ideas, because trust me, you will forget it. And you don't even have to use the ideas you think of. Just the fact that it's there and an option can help you out in a sticky situation.
Forced laughing.
Tip number 4. Back up. Right now. Right now. Get up and back up your book if you started it. Because trust me, you're gonna cry if you don't. Dedicate a USB for your book. Go buy a USB, it's not that expensive, and just make sure your book is on it. Every time you write a new chapter, you put that on the USB, because trust me, anything can happen and you could lose your book. Tip number 5. Keep a pocketbook around.
What?
I'm telling you, this pocketbook has saved me so much time and headaches. It's not really needed, but it's just so nice to have, and it makes writing a lot easier for me. Whenever I, for example, need to look up a synonym for something because I feel there's a better word for what I'm describing, I print out all the synonyms for the thing I looked up and I put it in my pocketbook. So for example, I have synonyms for expensive and cheap, and then I print it all out and put it in there. I don't think you can see that, but yeah. I even have blank spaces for when I still need to find words to put in. It's like a work in progress, it doesn't have to be complete, you kind of fill it as you go. And it's not just synonyms, you can use lists of words. I have lists of colors that I like to use. I mean, not every color has to be described as mahogany, you know, but if the character would describe a color in detail, why not have it? Also, the genre of your book kind of determines the kind of pocketbook you would have. My genre has a lot of action and
If she breathes, she's a god!
fighting. So I like having a list of fighting words. So I would have fighting words without a weapon, would be like clout, trounce, pummel, batter, maul, pound, clobber, crush, bash, wallop, break. Just a bunch of words in my arsenal that I could use if I needed, so I don't have to like look up words or whatever. List of textures. List of body expressions. Oh my god, this saved my life so many times. So I have a list of body parts and the expressions that body parts can make. For example, your nose. Your nose can crinkle, wrinkle, sneer, and even for like eyebrows. His lashes fluttered, she batted her lashes, her brows knit together, her forehead puckered. Just basic descriptions, so you don't have to say
She was angry.
you can say she balled her fists and clenched her teeth. It helps with show versus tell. Instead of telling us the character is angry or sad, you can show it through body expressions. And this I keep all in my pocketbook, so I can use it whenever I need it. I'm telling you, saved my life. Yeah. If you guys ever want to have a peek inside here and see what I have written down, I might make it available to people. I don't know where I would post it, but yeah, let me know if you would want to have some of the things in here. Zorina, say hi. Say hello. She's good. Tip number 6. Mister, spell your dialogue out, please. Honestly, I have no idea where I read this or where I saw this or if it's even legitimate.
Between you and me, I don't fully know what I'm doing.
But I just have it in my head that you should spell out your dialogue in your book. For example, don't say Mr., say Mr. Or don't say one, say one. Because dialogue is kind of how the person would say it. The number 1 is not a word, it's a number. So if it's a number, it technically can't be said. It can't be said if it's not a word. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not sure if this is the same for script writing versus novel writing, but it just bothers me when I see a Mr. instead of a Mister, for example. And same with basic things like okay. Don't say small letters okay, because that's just ok. Rather use big letters okay, or spell it out okay. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense. I can't even remember where I saw that, but it's just something that bothers me, and it's a basic little tip that I see not being used. Tip number 7. We know new paragraphs are awkward. Honestly, when I first started my book, I had no idea when to start a new paragraph. I was always just, I don't know, I just made either too many paragraphs or no paragraphs at all. But I know it's very annoying when you have a big piece of text with no space in between, or if you have too much space in between. And I always struggled with figuring out when to start a new paragraph, and I never really looked up when to start a new paragraph, so let me just say it now before you fixate over this. So I actually saw this post on Pinterest. Pinterest is my life. I just scroll through writing tips on there all the time.
Anyways,
So basically, you start a new paragraph when 1. The camera moves, 2. A new character shows up, someone speaks, someone else speaks, 5. A new idea, subject or topic is introduced, 6. Time passes or reverts to an earlier point, the setting changes, 8. The mood shifts, 9. You want to create
Dramatic effect.
I do this all the time. I'm actually really guilty of using this too much. I like saying something, having characters do something, and then something shocking happens, and then I just literally write silence. Dot. That's its own paragraph. That's all your paragraph tips that you need. I know I struggled with this a lot. 8. Subtraction. The contraction, unless in character interaction. Okay, that makes no sense, but basically it just looks a lot neater in your novel when your narration and your actual writing does not use any contractions. So I've instead of I have, or they've instead of they have. In the actual narration, you can use I've and they've in dialogue and maybe direct thought. I'm not sure if this is a rule. I know in informal writing that's fine. If your book has a more talkative style, sure, but it just looks a lot better when you're not using contractions in your narration. I am very guilty of this. I use so many contractions. It is scary. Hi, sisters! Hi. I'm sorry, my editor just called to let me know that for some inexplainable reason, I decided not to record tip number 9, and the paper I wrote my tips down on was spilled with coffee, so I lost it. But fortunately, I remember tip number 9, which is to not use too fancy nor too slang language in your book. So something I notice writers do is they just literally Google fancy words just for the sake of sounding professional, but it's the opposite effect. If your reader has to search the meaning of the word all the time, it's probably not a good thing. And also if you use modern terms that are really in right now, such as lit and cis, and I don't know what the kids are up to, but those kind of things. It can be funny at the time, but it will age really badly and just end up being cringe. So yeah, that's tip number 9. And lastly, tip number 10, which is also my favorite tip. The best writing advice actually comes from rant videos. I just have such a guilty pleasure for watching rant videos. You don't even have to have read the book that the YouTube booktube. You literally don't even have to have read the book that the booktuber is ranting about. I honestly spend hours watching every single video of wait, what's this guy's name? Was it Crimson? Oh, sometimes I wonder how I'm a writer just based off of my spelling. Yeah, this guy. I watched, what was it? Yeah, this Mother Teresa. What's it called? Empress Teresa. I've never read this book, but boy, did I spend how many hours on this? I'm not even sure, but these are like hour, 40-minute long videos, and I watched every single part of this. I watched part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. You can't see it on this because I'm not really logged in onto my YouTube right now, but Oh my gosh, I watched all of them. That was so entertaining, but also so informative. And honestly, it's just great because there's so many writing videos out there, how to write a good book. But honestly, the best writing tips is how not to write. Because while watching rant videos, I'm kind of like sitting here, you know, being like, yes, judge that. And then I realize I kind of did what the author did, and I'm just like, let me just delete that real quick. There's so many times where I'm just laughing at something and be like, I totally did not do that as well. Thank God I watched this so I can just avoid that big red flag. Trust me, it is 1, entertaining, 2, very, very helpful. Seeing what not to do, it changed my life. That's probably like my favorite tip because it's so useful. Ooh. Anyways, that is all we have for today. And I thank you for being here. Please subscribe, kick the like button. Yeah, kick the like button. I hope this helped, because this is stuff I honestly wish I knew. Even if you're a casual writer or a serious writer, I'm sure at least one of these tips will save your life. And anyways, stay golden, stay cabbage.